Hi, everybody. RivkaLeah here. Welcome to another session from the Collective series. Welcome from Darkness to Radiance. Today, I have someone joining me who has experienced some trauma due to some dark personality traits and kind of what goes along with that and how she's come through it. So, I'd like to welcome Kris. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time coming to talk to me. Um, and I know we had talked briefly before the podcast, and I'm going to kind of just jump right in here and ask you if you can briefly share your experiences with trauma.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, where do I start? Approximately 15 years ago, I had moved from my home state to a new state. So I started new friends, new job, new home, new everything. Um, uh, what I'm about to seg into is my professional experience with it. I experienced working with somebody, a woman, um, who now, so many years later, I realize probably was and is at least narcissistic or has some personality disorder of some kind. So I had met her. She had befriended me immediately, and I was like, "Oh, this is so nice." I'm in a new state, and I'm already making friends pretty quick. I have a job. Everything's hunky dory. Everything's great. Um, but almost immediately, like she would switch on me. When I say almost immediately, I would say it had to be within a couple weeks to a month. She would be nice, and then she'd snap on me about something completely ridiculous, and then like shut me down, shut my ideas down, steal my ideas professionally, and claim them to be her own. And then when I tried calling her on it, she would be what everyone refers to now as gaslighting. Oh no, I didn't do that. You never said that. You never told me about that. Basically, it was just constant like put downs. Um, y- you know, uh, I wasn't good enough, like that sort of thing. And I never felt good enough. And I was like, maybe it's just not really happening to me. Maybe that's not happening. And so I'd give her another chance. Well, it would happen again, and and it would be something, and it would be a little bit worse each time. She'd be really, really nice, and then she'd want to tear my face off in the next instant for something that I didn't know I did, but she said I did. And then she'd cut me out and not talk to me, and then talk to we had another couple of coworkers in our office, and she would talk directly to them and would just shut me out and freeze me out. And I'd be like, oh, geez, what was that all about? Is what I would, say to myself. Um, and it would happen again, and it would happen again and again, and it just happened over a period of many years. I worked with this person for many years, and I put up with it for many years, and I had
So it wasn't like something that so when you first became aware of it, the first few times it happened, you didn't really know what was going on.
no, I didn't really know. I thought that, maybe she had a bad night's sleep. Maybe she had a bad night at home. Maybe she's in a bad mood. And I'm just here, and she's just taking it out on me because I'm the only one here, and we had shared office space. So I thought, oh, it's okay. I would brush it off constantly, just
You'd make excuses for her or something, right?
all the time. I made excuses for her because I was like, well, she's my friend. She doesn't want to hurt me. She doesn't, you know. But now I realize in speaking it for it right now, she never apologized ever for any of it. Ever.
That's a really big thing to realize.
And I realize it now. But back then I made excuses for her, and so she continued this behavior. I allowed this behavior because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't really know what personality disorders and dark personalities and narcissism. I didn't really know what that was because I'm. I don't think I.
Had you ever had experience with anyone treating you like that before?
No, I mean, people were mean. People were bullies when I was a young kid, but nobody ever like really outright bullied me and made me feel like garbage. Several days a week, like this woman did. You know,
Right.
like a constant like almost like she just knew she had me under her thumb. So she was going to treat me how she wanted to treat me, and I was just going to tolerate it, you
And
know?
did you have any way of coping with that around her?
Well, I remember one time in particular, I don't remember the specific scenario, but I had made her angry over something. I don't know, maybe I didn't brush my hair the right way that day, or I didn't put on the right color. I don't know. I
So
made
she
her
wasn't it wasn't all just about work, it was just she would target anything about you.
anything about me. It would be
Okay.
anything, and I remember this one day it was particularly she got particularly nasty with me, and I don't even remember the circumstances, but I remember I drove home from work and I was in tears. I was crying, um, which led to sobbing, which led to, honest to God, me thinking to myself, for the sake of this friendship, I'll just take it. I'll just take it and turn the other cheek and I'll be better tomorrow. But at that time I knew something was off, but I didn't know that it was a, a dark personality trait. I didn't know that it really was narcissism. But I knew something was off. And I was like, well, maybe if you just be quiet, when you go into work tomorrow, don't say anything, just say good morning, be in a good mood, and she'll be fine. It was this walking on eggshell stuff that I did. I mean, and that wears on you. Now, mind you, I did this for years, and I keep repeating that because I let this happen for years with this person. For years.
And not getting any kind of help or insight that this was why she was doing it.
No, I had went home and I had complained to my husband about it. I was married, and I complained to him, and I said, so and so said this, and I said they got really really upset about it, and he would always try to work through with me, and but he wasn't really much help because I don't think he really understood, which wasn't his fault. Because when you don't deal with people like that, you really don't know what hit you until fast forward 15, 20 years down the line today. You don't know what hit you. I remember I can give you one specific instance. Actually, two. I'll give you two stories if we've got a little bit of time of what this person told
Sure.
me, which some people said to me, my husband included, would say, and I had a friend from home who I spoke with, from my home state who I spoke with. And she said, oh, she's just jealous of you. She's jealous you've got something she wants. And I was like, what? What do I have? Do I have like a piece of clothing? The car that she wants? And they're like, no, it's not that at all. They're like, it's your personality. It's something in your personality that you have that they want. But they
Yep.
can't explain it. But this person, you know, without going off on too much of a tangent, this person, I remember she got this really cute shirt and she got it at Target, I remember. And I loved it. And I said to her, wow, I really like that shirt. I said, oh, I should see if they have it. And I went and I found it at Target and I bought the same shirt. Oh, did that set her off? Because, she's like, oh, I just can't have anything. I just can't have anything, Kris, because you've got to have it too. You just got to have it all. And it led to this big, huge thing where I sat there, quiet as a mouse because I didn't want to ruffle her feathers. And I just let her sit there and berate me and say, well, you're copying me because you just can't have any good stuff. So you got to have what I have. Um,
All over a shirt.
but it's a shirt, like a $6 shirt. And I just liked it because it was really cute and pretty, and I wanted one to wear my, and now I realize, and I don't try to make light of this, but I probably look nicer in the shirt than she did.
Well, and plus too, a normal person would be flattered. When you imitate somebody or copy somebody, not in a malicious way, it's a form of flattery.
Yeah,
But if you have a dark personality trait or you lean to those characteristics, you make it a negative thing. And you clearly were not doing this to be malicious to her in any way, shape, or form.
not at all. Not at all. It was just a compliment to her style of dress.
Right, and she couldn't
And
accept that compliment.
blew it out of proportion. I mean, uh, and I think like also if I, and now that I'm talking to you, I recall these things, and I remember there was another instance of a material possession, and, I had, I got, let's just say, for example, I got a Chevy for a car make. She got the BMW, you know, because I could only afford a Chevy. And she would say that to my face. She goes, "Well, you can't really afford this kind of stuff."
So she was
Yeah,
trying to sounds like she was trying to just continually knock you down, and she
not
had to make herself feel better, you know?
about elevating herself and
Right.
just lowering me into the ground as much as she could. She just wanted to take me down a couple of pegs, but it was all the time. And in fact, more recent, now I tell you, we were married. Okay, I was married to somebody and she was married to somebody. Well, this was all over a gentleman who walked into our office, just one day. I think it was the mailman, let's say, or the water delivery guy, something like that. Okay. Well, she apparently thought that he was just the bee's knees, thought he was so cute, and so she ran out to meet him, just ran out to meet him. Well, and flirt with him because, he liked her. He didn't like anybody else. He liked her because she was the prettiest in the office. At least in her head, she was the prettiest. Well, apparently, he had a fondness for me and he had flirted with me a time or two. Oh, she didn't like that. She did not like that. And she told me to my face. You want to know what she said to my face?
Probably nothing nice.
I was talking to her about it and she goes, "Yeah," she goes, "Kris, he seems to like you." She goes, "I just don't see what he sees in you." And looked me up and down like I was a piece of trash.
Nice, nice. Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of these, dark personality traits, they have very low self-esteem, and when they in order to feel better about themselves, they need to take other people down. So, I mean, you said that this happened over a long period of time, so I'm hoping that you're away from that situation now.
I am. I worked with her approximately 10 years,
Okay.
and I had, it was time for me to move on from that job. It just was time for me. So I took a new job, which led to, which led to a further blow up. And I finally had enough and I let her have it, and she got so angry and it made her even angrier that I started fighting back because I started to realize at this time now 10 years I'm telling you this
I
10
was gonna say, at that point, you started to realize that she was perhaps this dark personality trait, a narcissist or what have you.
whatever she had, something was wrong. And I realized it was probably some narcissistic, maybe, traits, maybe a full-on narcissist, because everything that anybody did, it was never her fault. Her and her husband would get in a fight, his fault. Um, you know, her child would get mad. It was the child's fault, for
Right.
ruining her day. Uh, it was my fault that something wasn't done right in some paperwork at the job, or it was her friend's fight. I'm sorry, her friend's fault that their friendship broke apart. her mother's fault for this, that, and the other. So do you see a pattern here, like in what I'm
Yeah.
describing to you?
Yeah.
I'm describing you somebody who just doesn't take accountability for their own behaviors.
Right. Which is very common for narcissists. And I'm so glad that you were able to get away from her. And it sounds like you're in a much better place now. So can you kind of talk a little bit about what maybe some of the misconceptions? Because now it sounds like that she had some sort of, personality trait. She was very pessimistic, very negative. So is there anything that you can see now about how this trauma, how you can clarify it more?
Yeah. I will say this before I get into that. When I left that position, and I'm in a different job now, of course. What a breath of fresh air. Um, I waited for my new coworkers. I waited for the shoe to drop for my first few years in this job. I was waiting for somebody to yell at me, somebody to put me down, somebody knock me down a peg or two. Just constantly waiting for somebody, and nobody treated me like that. So I was like, yeah, something was definitely wrong with this woman, you know, because nobody treats me like that. And if I see it now, I'm able to see a little bit more clearly, and I'm a little more self-aware of my actions and allowing it to happen to me. I see it coming head on now, and I can extricate myself from people who have these traits or who act like this. I can say, whoa, stop. No, no, no more. Not to me. I don't deserve to be treated like that.
Right.
Any human being does not deserve that kind of treatment. And people with these kind of traits, like they love that. It's almost like they get a thrill out of treating people like that. And when I took it away from her, she blew up. But I'm telling you, I feel relaxed. um I became, like I told you, more self-aware, of myself and what I allow, and how I focused basically in the past 5 years. you know I'm not perfect myself, but that's not what you're here to listen to me about. What I'm
Well, everybody goes through these things though, but it really sounds like you're in a much better place that you've described that you've have boundaries now.
Yes,
You've become self-aware of other people and you have your boundaries, and it sounds like now you're definitely like this is all about darkness to radiance. You've come through that darkness, and now
I'm
so why don't
so
you describe your radiance? What have you done for this healing part?
just so much better. And like I said, a breath of fresh air is the best way I can describe it. You know, what I've done to overcome it is, I've done, I've, after all the tears and just letting them come, I've healed. I've gone to a little bit of therapy. I'm not afraid to admit that, to help me to learn how to cope with other people that may, you know, have darkness in their personality like that. Um, it's taken me a good 5 long years, but I've got a lot. I've got a good foundation. I have a good job. I've got good friends because I've discarded, um, not in the way that that sounds, anybody that is not meant to be in my life, that's not going to treat me like an equal or even treat me like
Correct.
with the basic dignities of a human being. You're out of my.
Right.
I don't need you.
That's very healthy to eliminate any of the toxic people around you. And I think it's okay to say that. And I actually wanted to segue really briefly because I did not say at the beginning, which I really like to try to do, that I am not a doctor, which I am not a doctor or a therapist.
Right.
So all of this is all based, my experiences on dark personality traits and trauma, or I talk about things that have happened to people that I know. And I've run into you a time or two and we struck up this conversation. And I was very intrigued at everything you had told me on how long that this had gone on. And, having been someone who had never experienced something like that before, that it takes a while for it to sink in that this is really what's happening. And now you have done so much work, and it sounds like you're living a beautiful life.
Oh, I am. I have everything. And then it's not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I have, pretty much everything, like the basics of everything that I need, and then some, and honestly, the most, I think the most healing part of my journey was just knowing which friends really didn't, they weren't my friends. And there have been a few people that I've just stopped contacting, because they are similar, or they've done similar things, just mean, nasty things, and people, they can be rotten to each other, human beings. And I don't want to treat somebody that way. So I don't want to be treated that way. Just reciprocate that to me. Treat me like a human being. Don't treat me like I'm beneath you, or even put me on a pedestal like I'm above you.
Right.
I'm not.
You want to be treated the way you treat people, with respect.
Exactly. And respect is huge. And I didn't have that for 10 years with this one person. It's almost like she had like a stranglehold on me, like control of me. She definitely had control of the situation.
Right.
I put up with it for so long. And it's the past. It's over. I'm healed. I'm moving forward. But sometimes, you think to yourself, why did I deal with that for so long? Because now, no, I'll never deal with that again. I'll never, ever deal with somebody treating me like that. I don't deserve it.
Well, it sounds like you had definitely had a lot of resilience, and clearly by exiting that position, that was a huge triumph for you,
Huge.
and not allowing it to go any forward, and keeping that distance now. I'm assuming she's not reached out to you and contacted you and or tried to get back into your life.
Tried a few times. And I've just totally shut her down. And it felt so good. It just, I wasn't mean, but I
And
was,
did you feel she was reaching out because you were basically her source that she could pick on all the time, and she was reaching out because you left, so her source was gone and she wanted to rekindle that?
yeah, I think she wanted her source back because other people caught on before I did, other friends, and they discarded her too because they didn't want to be treated like garbage anymore. So I think she reached out and I just shut her down. I was polite about it. I was not mean. I did not say anything to her for how she treated me. I didn't. I never backlashed,
Right.
put any of that on her. I didn't do anything. Very polite about it. But and one time I straight up ignored her and she got the message. And it's been 5 or 6 years. I haven't
That's great.
yeah, I haven't talked to her. And I don't care to. And I don't care if I run into her. I don't care how she's doing in life. Nor should she care how I'm doing in life.
Exactly. It
Uh,
sounds like, you came through this, it was terrible while it was going on. You see it for what it was, and you don't wish her any ill will, and you just want to just move forward. And so if you were to tell anyone else, or find someone who's going through a similar experience, what advice would you give them?
Let me give that some thought. I When you first see that something's off, believe yourself, it is off. Okay, if you it is in your gut or it is in your stomach and it is not right, know that it is not right. Um, Number two, know that you don't deserve to be treated like that by anyone. Um, know just know, I guess, know your worth. Know that you can come out of it if you get in deep, like I did. Um, it's all about being self-aware, and honestly knowing how to cope. I believe it is about being able to cope with things like this because these people, there's not a right way to handle them or even a wrong way because they're not going to stop coming at you. They're just going to come at you worse and worse each time, and they're not going to take it, if you call them out on it. they're going to gaslight you, and they're going to say, well, it's because you said, and they'll even add words to your mouth. Like they will even add curse words. Like, well, you said, you bleeping this, or, like cursing at you. They'll add curse words in there for things that you said. And you'll think to yourself, did I really say that? But you didn't.
But you didn't.
They
I think that's amazing advice to give to people, and I really appreciate it. I know I've kept you for a little bit tonight, and I really, really appreciate your time. Um, and I would love to have you back in the future if you're willing, and we can dive a little deeper into it, and you can maybe talk a little bit more down the road about some of more of your radiance. That would be fabulous if you would be willing to share that. I would love it. I would
yeah,
love it.
they
So thank you. And I want to thank everybody for joining us again for another part of our series From Darkness to Radiance. And again, I apologize. I did not say it in the beginning, but I am not a doctor or a therapist. I am merely trying to shed light on situations based on my experience and experiences of people that I know. So I hope everybody has a great night. And again, Kris, thank you for being here. And cheers, everybody.
all right. Thanks. Bye.